Hi, and welcome to Deeply Connecting. My name is Robin Custer, and today we have Benjamin with us. Thanks for joining. The idea behind this channel is growing in our connection with God and with others. And today we're going to be talking about adventures with Jesus. And I'm really excited to have Benjamin here because I think out of everyone I know, quite possibly, Benjamin has the most adventures with Jesus. So maybe give us an example of some of your adventures with him and just this journey that you've had with God and with Jesus.
Absolutely. Yeah, so, well, first off, following Jesus is an adventure. It's just part of who he is, and like depending on him, trusting in him, seeking him and what he wants to do is an absolute adventure. Like I just think about life before that kind of dependency on the Lord, and it was so dull and not as fun. And so just following him in and of itself is an adventure. And not knowing like where he's always leading and taking us, but knowing that he's good and he's faithful and he's trustworthy, that's an absolute adventure. And so when you approach it from that perspective, then you're able to really look at just inviting him into everything that we do.
Yeah.
And the things that make us come alive, like he loves those things. He put those things in us, and like he loves fun and he loves adventure and he loves like the things that we enjoy doing, he loves to do them with us.
That's so good.
Yeah. And so, one of the things that he's put in my heart is riding motorcycles, and I love to ride and I love to see the countryside and smell the air and feel the breeze and just like experience the thrill of speed and adrenaline. And especially in LA, like splitting lanes is amazing. I wish we could do that in Texas. That's an adventure in and of itself. And so there's been a lot of times where like I just go on adventures with Jesus with riding. And just like there's one time that I was going to be in Florida, and I may have told you this story, but it was a weekend. I was going to be there close to the end of the weekend, and I asked the Lord, like, how should I spend my weekend? Should I come back to Texas or go back to LA? And I felt like he said, I want to ride a Harley with you to Key West.
Wow.
And so it was just like it was kind of also one of those things of like, is that really you or is that me? But I was just like, I believe it was you, and I'm believing like you're going to be on the back of it with me. And so like,
That's awesome.
yeah, I went to Miami and rented a Harley, and like me and Jesus rode to Key West, and it was this adventure of just like experiencing him and his presence and believing that he is with me. He's riding with me. He's gone before me. He's like prepared this adventure, and just like really looking for how he wants to speak to me in it and through it, and just like believing that he's a good father that like has good things in store, and like these are things that make me come alive to experience new things and new places and like do it with him. And so, yeah, that was a fun adventure of just like seeing epic views and the ocean and just like the weather and the salt and the humidity, and then like salty Key West, and like it felt like he was calling me to stay in like this kind of like a hostel, but it was like community living, and I'm like staying with these random people that I didn't know, and most of them are down there partying and doing drugs, and I'm just sleeping in this quarters with these 2 or 3 other guys. And the Lord really just met me in that place and was just able to share my heart with some people and have fun and go out to different places, and ended up hearing a live band that I felt like the Lord was really speaking to me through, some secular music. And so, yeah, that's one adventure with Jesus.
That's cool. So do you feel like you didn't know these people that you stayed with?
No.
So he must have connected you with them.
I believe that he did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what differentiates an adventure that you just do by yourself versus one that you do with him?
Yeah, so I mean, he's always with us and he's always around us. And I think it's more of our mindset of like recognizing that he's with us. And then like it makes it that much more fun of like recognizing his presence, knowing that he is with me, he lives in me, and like he sees all things and like he knows all things and nothing's hidden from him. And so like just being open and vulnerable with him of like, hey, you've put these things that I love to do in my heart, and like I want to do them with you, and I believe they're from you and for you. And like, so I think it's just really a mindset of like recognizing that he is with us in it, and that he is guiding our steps and he's leading things, and like that he puts things in our heart, you know, to do. And it's like, just go do them. And when we do them with him, you know?
Yeah. Huh. That's good.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're also intentionally communicating with him along
Totally.
the way too.
Yeah, 100%. Like, probably like sounding a little weird, like if you were on the bike with me like talking, or just sometimes it's just like smiling, like, and just like times I was yelling and shouting and screaming like, Lord, you're so amazing, like I just can't get over your beauty, I can't get over your creation, I can't get over just like what you've done. Yeah, this is actually a cool story. This was a couple weekends ago. My friend Becca hadn't ridden before and she wanted to go on a ride. And so I take her up in the hills of Malibu, and like we pull up on this like epic view, and it's just like breathtaking. You can see the whole like West Bay, the ocean, and like the way the sun is like shining on this grass, this green grass. It's like, looks like Ireland. It's like epic. And like I'm like looking at Becca and she's just beaming and smiling, and she says this profound statement of like, God is so good at what he does. And it's just like his creation is so beautiful. And like even like riding, like I'm like, how are you doing? She's like, my cheeks hurt, like I'm smiling so much, you know. And so it's just like the Lord is in everything, and like it's so fun to acknowledge him and give him the glory for it. And yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So earlier today you were telling me about your adventure in acting.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that adventure with Jesus.
Yeah, that's definitely an adventure. That is something that has come completely out of left field, that I never saw myself doing any kind of acting. I felt like the Lord was speaking to me about just being in touch with my creative side and tapping into these creative things, and really allowing him to like bring this stuff that he's put in me out. And so it actually came through a word through several people that the Lord confirmed. And so there's a whole story behind that, but basically like just stepping out, and the Lord confirmed in many ways, like, this is what I want you to start doing. And it's super scary, but it's also like, I see it as an adventure, and it's like really thrilling to just like do something that you have no idea like what you're doing or how to do it, but like trusting that he's going to meet you in that place. And like part of the adventure is like the unknown, and the like, I don't have this figured out, I don't know what I'm doing, but yet like I feel like this is where you're leading, and I'm going to trust you that you're going to show up, that you're going to meet me there, that like it's okay to fail. And like, so it's a real sense of adventure, and it's being very vulnerable and authentic and genuine. Like this technique is teaching me like how to do all of those things. And so that's an adventure in and of itself too, of just like really being like vulnerable, because it's like, it's a scary place. Like adventure comes with like, there's a a courageousness that's required. There's like fear that you have to overcome. So it's like tapping into that place of like really depending on the Lord to like come through, and to just like put yourself out there to just like see what he does and see where he wants to take it. And so yeah, there's so many things I could say about this adventure of acting, the relationships that I'm building, just the emotional intelligence that he's teaching me is an adventure in and of itself, of like learning how to better communicate and just like be in tune with people, their feelings, my feelings, how I feel about it, like my opinions about what I think and what I like. And, you know, I think that's really healthy for us to do as well, as just like, what do I really like, and what does the Lord put in me? Like, what makes me come alive, you know?
Yeah.
And like really just like exploring those things and doing it with the Lord, you know? And like also like playing scenes and like asking the Lord, like, where is your emotion? Like, how do you feel? Like, how do you want me to play this role? Like inviting the Holy Spirit into that, and just like, that's an adventure of just like seeing where he wants to take things, and like really letting him teach me his feelings and emotions for things, and like how he wants to bring them into a scene, and like it's powerful, and it's fun.
That's cool. How do you feel like acting, or like this adventure that you're on with the acting thing, has helped you connect with God and with other people?
Yeah. So I'd say like with other people, it's like you form these relationships and you spend a lot of time with these people and you practice with them and you learn about them and also their personal life, and then you're vulnerable with them, and so you form deeper relationships with them, and you really have an opportunity to connect and speak your heart. And so I definitely have seen the Lord just work in those relationships of like speaking truth and just loving these people too, and just like also being in awe of him, like inviting me into like these types of relationships that I would not have otherwise. Like, how else would I meet some of these people, and like so many different walks of life and from so many different places even that have come to LA to like learn how to act. And so I'm just like in awe of how the Lord's brought me into these relationships and how he's given me a platform to just be who I am, and how he's using that. Like, I felt like the other day he was showing me just like how you conduct yourself and behave, how you just be you, like speaks volumes, you know?
Yeah.
And then about him, like particularly with this technique that we're learning, is all about being genuine and real and vulnerable and true to ourselves. And like one of the things like everything that you need for acting, you already have. It's already in you. We just have to teach you how to bring it out of you. And so like that's so the gospel is like everything that we have is already in us. Like he is in us. He's given us everything that we need to do what he's called us to do. And so like just teaching me more about just even the truth of his gospel and who he is, and like that he's already like put in me all of these things, you know, and he's teaching me how to pull them out. Like he's pulling them out of me.
Yeah. And imagine with what you're learning with being more present and more genuine and all that would help you connect better with him and with others too. So the adventure that he's brought you into has really developed that, even as like a side benefit to the adventure.
Totally. Absolutely. Yeah.
It's cool. Do you have any other thoughts on adventures with Jesus?
Thoughts on adventures. Just like childlikeness. It's kind of parallels with acting too. Like part of what they teach us is like to try to really tap into your childlikeness and like just be really true and vulnerable and like affected in how you would be as a child before you were like bombarded with all the things of the world. And like this is like the heart of adventure too, is childlikeness. It's like coming to him as a child and just like tapping into that fun, loving, innocent heart of a child, of just like being like we've never been disappointed, like before you ever encountered any disappointment, like as a child, like being in that state of just like innocence, and just recognizing too that we are pure and righteous before the Lord, like we are washed clean, we are fully innocent and bought by his blood. And so like there's such a freedom in embracing the righteousness of God and like wearing the robe of righteousness and just knowing that we're clothed in it and that we're washed and clean and forgiven. And so just like that childlikeness is such a key aspect of his heart for adventure.
So the wearing the robe of righteousness, does that help with the like freedom to be childlike?
Totally. I mean, just knowing that we are like free and holy and set apart and like
the slate's clean. He's got nothing against you.
Yeah, exactly. And just like it's so liberating to know that we're free and that we're bought, it's already paid for, and that the grace superabounds. And so it's like freedom to just be like a child that's like just not afraid to say what's on their heart and what they feel and how they feel about it. And just like there's so many aspects of a child that we can learn from. Like I love just like even watching my little niece, of like when I delight in her, she sees it, she recognizes like I'm delighting in her and she delights in me delighting in her. You know, it's such a beautiful thing of like when we recognize he delights in us, he delights in us like going on adventures with him and doing the things that make us come alive. Like he delights in that. And it brings him great joy, you know.
That's really cool.
Have
you ever been afraid of provision or protection, like on your adventures?
Sure. Like not knowing all of the how things are going to pan out, being in scary situations. I think about Indonesia and going on this like 3-day trek and like not knowing where we're going to sleep, and like just like not even knowing like fully where we're going or how we're getting back. Like we got dropped off in a rural part, and by faith, like believing that the Lord's going to lead us where he desires to lead us, and lead us to people of peace that are hungry to hear him, and having no idea how this is going to pan out and where we're going to sleep and how we're going to get back. And like, super scary. And like moments like on the playground, I remember this one playground we found and sat down, and like our translator like starts crying, and she's like really just struggling with like trusting the Lord in this moment, and like not knowing like where we're going to stay that night and what's going to happen. And just like, so it's definitely like scary. And like that moment, it was so sweet how the Lord met her in that moment, and we were able to pray over her, and she was able to share like how the Lord was really just like teaching her deeper trust and like dependence, and like coming outside of her comfort zone. And then like she, like through those tears and through us like praying and encouraging her and just like really loving on her, like she was so touched and blessed, and just like came alive, and the Lord ended up providing this amazing place for us to stay. And it was and you know, we had some money with us, and we found like a place that we could go and stay, and like we were just having fun, like really just believing like we didn't have to like necessarily suffer unnecessarily. Like he pointed us to a place to stay that was reasonable and that we could afford and that was provision, and we were just like, all right, like we're gonna enjoy this, enjoy one another. And yeah, so definitely times where it's scary and you don't know like how it's gonna turn out, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's what makes it so fun, is just the unknown. And back to like just following Jesus is an adventure, because we don't know how we know he's good and we know that he's trustworthy, but we don't like know like all of how it's gonna, I mean, most of our lives aren't how we envision them, or like don't pan out how we think they were gonna, you know?
That's for sure.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. Do you feel like there have been times where you've been let down, where he hasn't protected or provided in the way you hoped for? Or
Oh yeah, for sure. And this is something I'm growing in, of just like not formulating in my mind what it has to look like and what it's supposed to look like, because that does set us up for disappointment, but not letting go of expectation. Like, and the Lord's teaching me how to have like high level of expectation of like, I'm so expectant that this is going to be good, that the Lord is with me in this and it's going to be amazing and he's trustworthy in it, but like refusing to get in my mind like how it's supposed to look. Because like we sell ourselves short when we put in our mind like it's going to look like this. Like it's far greater than we can think of or imagine. So like what he has for us is like so far beyond our wildest dreams. And so that's the level of expectation that I like want to live in and go on adventures with and trust the Lord in. It's like with acting, like I don't know where this is headed. Like I don't have like a preconceived outcome in my mind. Like I'm going to be some big actor. Like I don't know if I'm ever going to do any acting. I just know like he's in it. He's leading me to do this. And like I'm growing in him and I'm growing in community and relationships and I'm having fun. And like, he's good and he's in it and he will show me like where he wants to take it. But like, I'm not going to sell myself short and try to formulate like what it has to look like. But I'm so expectant that it's going to be amazing. And like, he's in it. He's going to do amazing things in and through me and what he's called me to do there. So.
Yeah. Boy, that's good. It sounds like that'd be a hard thing to balance, with being expectant of all these good things, but trying not to have them defined.
Yes,
your expectations
totally
defined.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this goes too with just like always having open hands of like everything that the Lord said and he's spoken and he's put in us, of like, just because he said it yesterday doesn't mean he's saying the same thing today, and like not holding on to anything so tightly that we can't let go of it. And like even our dreams and our hopes and our deepest desires in our heart, of like giving God permission to redirect our dreams, to elevate our dreams, to breathe on them, to crush them and give new ones. Like, you know, just really trusting him with like those things that like we can't cling to anything too tight. Like he is so jealous for all of us. Like he so desperately cares to have all of our hearts. He wants nothing to have a hold on us tighter than his hold, right? And so like just really being willing to be open before him and just like, all right, Lord, like this is all yours anyway. Like everything is yours. Like all the gifts you've given me, all the talent and the know-how, and it's all you. Like you could take it in a minute. You could give new things in a minute. Like, but so yeah, just being really open-handed. That's so liberating, because when we cling to things, then if they get removed, it shakes us. You know, and it's like it's bondage, really. It's it's restrictive.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That reminds me of also, I heard once how in terms of God changing, just because he says something today doesn't mean he'll say the same thing tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I've had frustrating situations where I feel like, okay, I'll just tell you the story.
Yeah.
Where I was like trying to intentionally hear his voice. And so I had this yogurt. I was really hungry. And I felt like he said, don't eat the yogurt. You're going to give it to somebody. I was like, okay, cool. Who am I going to give it to? So I walked around for like 15 minutes just asking him, like, who do you want me to give this yogurt to? And then after 15 minutes, he's like, okay, you can eat it now. And I was like so upset. I was like, what the heck? Am I not hearing you right? Or like, what's going on?
That's awesome.
But
kind of weird, but awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. But so I heard once too that sometimes, this doesn't quite apply to that story, but that God will say something to get us positioned for a redirection.
Yeah.
So like even he might say, go this way, go to Target, and then halfway to Target he says, oh, actually go in this direction instead. But like had you not gone in the direction of Target first, you might have taken a totally different route and missed what he was trying to do or where he was trying to take you if he hadn't told you to go to that place first, even though he doesn't want you to end up there.
Totally. So, yeah, absolutely.
Has that happened on your adventures?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think about LA, like my company asked me to go to LA. This is a couple years ago, like it was in April, and I just moved into this discipleship house in Austin and felt like the Lord was really calling me to sow in there. And I wanted to go to LA, but I felt like the Lord was saying no. And like it was a super hard decision, and like my company really wanted me to go, and I didn't even really think it was an option to say no, like because the work here was kind of running out, and like, but I really felt like he said no, and I felt like I had to obey what I felt like was right in my heart. And right before I gave my answer, even like the big boss that was asking my boss for me to come was like, tell Benjamin it would really mean a lot for him to come, just like heap the pressure on, but I just like really I knew in my heart it wasn't right. And so I said no. Wow. And then like 2 months later, I get a promotion, and then like 6 months of just like favor and blessing from the Lord on like living in this situation in this house that he called me to that was so life-giving. It was so preparing me for then when they asked me again in October to go to LA, and the Lord said yes. Wow. And it set me up for what he had for me, and it prepared me. Wow. And it's like, so in one season, in 1 month, it was no, and then 6 months later, it's yes. Wow. The very same thing. So there's no formula. It's being open to what he's saying and trusting, and just because he's saying it, that we still keep bringing it back to him. Is this still what you're saying? Is this still how you're leading? Are you leading in a different direction now?
That's really good.
And like, I think I heard you say this, but like, are you still saying this? And this, so it's just constantly like bringing things back up before him and allowing him to shape them. And
I'm impressed with your obedience. Like,
it's not always as what you might think. It's it comes with just like growing in the Lord and just like trusting that he's good. And like he knows so much better than I do, and he sees so much more than I can see. And like just experience enough like really hard things to just know like I don't want anything apart from him. I don't want anything that he's not 100% in. Kind of like Moses, like if you're not going, I'm not going. If you're not going to be with me, like I'm not going. Like it's not worth it. Like it's all vanity apart from him. Like nothing we do apart from him is worth anything. it won't stand up. It won't have meaning. It won't bring us joy, you know? And so just like that, it's not like, we have to approach obedience from a place of just like trusting that he knows best.
Yeah.
And like when we really can embrace like that his way is so much better than mine. And just like, it was really hard when he called me into like living in the discipleship house. I mean, you know, you live in one. It's like I'm living in a bunk bed, you know, in this season. And it's like in that season I was, and it was like, yeah, like this is not my idea of like, you know, single lifestyle, living with, you know, grown men in bunk beds. Like, you know, it's just like, but he so knew like what I needed and what was best. And like, I'm so glad that I trusted him with that, because it was so life-giving. And it wasn't always easy. It was definitely hard at times, but like looking back, like I'm so glad that I did it, because he did so much in me in that time, and so thankful for it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe I need a few more hard knocks so I can be more obedient too.
No, you don't. It's always better to learn by revelation than the hard way, because he is so committed to you and your well-being and your freedom and your joy and your contentment. He'll do whatever it takes. But like when he speaks, just say yes, because like he's so committed. He's gonna get you there. Like, but we want the accelerated path.
For sure.
And the way that we run in the greatest acceleration is just give him our yes.
Yeah.
And like trust him with our yes. And you know, the things that he says no to, like saying no to him, like no to LA now, maybe it's yes later. Like, so like learning by like when he speak, like just trusting, like, you know, and not always like knowing for sure, like if we're hearing, but just like stepping out in faith and then trusting he's going to redirect. Like think about a jet ski, like that's an adventure. It's fun. And like, but you have to have the gas on to be able to turn and maneuver the jet ski. And so like, you just keep moving forward, and like, you trust that he's going to direct, but you keep allowing him to direct and shape, but you keep stepping and moving forward, you know?
Yeah. It's convicting, because there have been many times where I feel like, where I feel like he's maybe saying yes, but it's something that I really don't want to do, or maybe saying no, but it's something that I really want to do. And I'm like, am I really hearing from him? I don't know.
Yeah, that's real.
So it's even like, a lot of times it's like, if I knew 100% that this is what he was saying, even though I want the opposite, I would do it. And at the same time, like, that it's so hard for me to discern in those situations. Yeah.
That's so real, and I get that. And like, I mean, this is where the grace comes in. It's like, we're not always going to get it perfect, but like, we keep going to him with an open hand, and we keep going to him with an open mind. And like, we just do the best we can to discern like what he's speaking, you know. And it is sometimes hard to know that. I mean, I didn't know 100%. Like, I thought I might actually get fired when I said no. Like, I didn't know. Like, there was a lot of unknown there, you know. But it's like, life's too short to like, when I'm sensing these things, like, and I just like, I didn't know that I knew, but I like had a pretty like strong conviction in my heart of like, I really feel like this doesn't line up with what I feel like the Lord's been like speaking and aligning, like he just brought me here. Like, and I just feel like there's too many things that like point in this direction that the Lord's affirmed and confirmed. It's kind of like with acting, like it was totally out of the blue. And it was like, Lord, like if this is of you, you have to confirm it. Like, I need lots of confirmation. I need you to spoon feed this to me. Like, you want me to take an acting class? You need to show me exactly which one to take. Like, and ball in your court. Like, I have to see you show up in this, you know? Then I meet someone and it's like, what are you doing in LA? You're from Paris. I go to the best acting school the world. And I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, you should go there. And it's like the Lord just like spoon fed that, like literally. And like in my mind, I'm thinking like, yeah, like this is too big of a request. Like he's almost like Gideon and like, you know, the dew or something, you know, and or like, yeah, it's just so yeah, I totally get like, am I perfect? Am I hearing right? If I knew 100%, I would do it. Right. But like that's the other, it takes faith. Right. We never know like 100%. Like that's why we step out, we live by faith. Yeah. And like we trust that he's a good father, and like if we're hearing wrong, he's gonna like redirect us. He's gonna like guide our steps. Yeah. He's gonna carry us through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something else that impressed like me with your story was the reward for obedience. Like after you said no, not only did you not get fired, but then you got a promotion.
Yeah.
And just a favor for those months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His way is so the best way, and like, yeah, I mean, it's he does have me on this accelerated path, and it just feeds on itself too when you can just look back and see the faithfulness of God and how he's working. Like it makes it easier to say yes, you know. And I mean, but it's still hard. It's still times where I'm like, like I don't want to go talk to that person, or I don't want to do that, or you know, it's like you know, there's still moments of like, but like if I can really get my head around like, but this is for my greatest joy, like this is for my greatest freedom, like this is gonna make me come most alive, like if I will partner with these things, you know. Even though it doesn't seem like it, it's and part of it's like dying to yourself, dying to like, you know, what you think you want. What we truly want is what he wants, you know, and we get in our mind what we think we want, and you know, but it's a journey, and it's no formula, and it's definitely not easy. It's hard to trust in things that we can't see and fully know 100%. Like, but living by faith is like what makes us come most alive. Is like not knowing, like it's what we are created for. So like, live by faith.
Like stepping into that fear, like
that
the fear
unknown,
of the unknown.
Totally. Yes, it makes us come alive, and that's back to the adventure. Is like the unknown. Like it is an adventure. Like following Jesus is such an adventure. Like I know you've come through all these other times, but I don't know how you're going to come through this time. Like this one's different. This one's like I don't know. You know, like
That's so true. Cool. Well, that might be, maybe that's, since it became full circle, maybe that's a good spot to, Did you have any other thoughts?
No, that's
cool. Well, thanks for joining us on Deeply Connected, and I hope you enjoyed hearing about adventures with Jesus. I encourage you to go on your own adventures with Jesus. And if you want to hear more about deeply connecting with God and others, click the subscribe button, and we'll see you next time.